Welcome to the Despicable Maine Deep Dive. Today on the show, we're tackling thought traps we fall into. You send us this fascinating file, thoughttraps.txt, basically a collection of mental quicksand moments you wanted us to look at.
Yeah, some really common ones in there.
So our mission today is to, dissect these with maybe a bit of sarcastic seasoning, pull out the useful bits, and hopefully leave everyone feeling a little clearer, not more bogged down.
Like navigating a mental minefield, but we've got the slightly cynical map.
Exactly. So where do we start?
Let's dive in with the first one, the what-if spiral.
Ah, yes, the classic.
Right. The source describes it as constantly imagining worst-case scenarios, just spinning out basically until you're paralyzed.
It's like mentally packing for every conceivable apocalypse before you can even decide what to wear to the grocery store.
Totally. You're so busy simulating these disaster movies in your head, you completely miss, well, the actual plot of your life unfolding right now.
So the key insight here is,
It's that worrying excessively about the future, it doesn't actually prepare you. It just drains your energy right now.
keeps you from acting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your mind tricks you into thinking this worry is helpful, but mostly it's just manufacturing fear.
And that specific, what if I mess this up loop, it can feel almost addictive, right? Like worrying equals being responsible.
Yeah, but real responsibility is about action, not just endless mental simulations of failure.
And the paradox.
Well, the paradox is that clarity often comes from less thinking, not more. All that mental effort, it's mostly noise.
Drowning out your inner compass.
And safety, real safety, tends to come from confidence and movement, not just trying to avoid every single potential what if.
Okay, makes sense. What's next?
Next up, the I'll be happy when illusion.
Oh, I know this one. Postponing happiness until forever.
Pretty much. The source defines it as pinning your happiness on some future achievement, but that target just keeps moving further away.
It's like chasing a mirage, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
contentment is just over the next sand dune of tasks.
Exactly that. You keep thinking, oh, happiness is just beyond the next promotion or the next purchase or hitting this arbitrary milestone.
But the finish line is always out of reach.
Right. So the key insight is that happiness isn't really a destination you arrive at. It's not hiding in external achievements.
Chasing it like it's out there just leads to this treadmill of ambition.
Yeah, where you might get somewhere new, but there's still this emptiness because the scenery changed, but you haven't.
And the mind just resets, right? You hit the goal, it feels good for a bit.
And then it becomes ordinary. The thrill is gone. So you need a new, bigger target.
Perpetuating the cycle.
And the paradox here is fascinating.
What is it?
The more you chase happiness this way, the more anxious you often become. Your peace depends entirely on hitting those external marks.
Whereas real happiness, it's not really earned like that, is it?
No, the source suggests it's more of a choice, found in the present, in the small things you miss while you're busy measuring progress.
Right. Okay, what about overthinking? That feels like a big one.
It is. Overthinking every interaction.
Constantly replaying conversations, analyzing every little word.
Yep. It's like you're performing forensic linguistics on a casual chat with a coworker.
Convinced every syllable holds some secret meaning about your flaws, like turning social niceties into, I don't know, Cold War spy code.
That's a good way to put it. The insight here is that overthinking stems from this deep desire to connect, but it usually backfires.
Leads to disconnection instead.
Exactly. From others, from the present moment. You're basically rewriting the past through a filter of fear, not remembering it accurately.
You worry so much about saying the wrong thing.
But the real danger isn't messing up a word or two. It's the hesitation, the inauthenticity that comes from all that mental filtering.
People connect to realness, not perfectly crafted sentences.
Right. And the paradox.
Let me guess. The more you try to be perfectly understood,
The less freely you actually speak. You filter yourself into oblivion, becoming less authentic.
the other person probably didn't even notice the thing you're obsessing over anyway.
Almost certainly not. Conversations are remembered by the feeling, not usually by a word-for-word transcript.
It's true. Okay, moving on. Comparisons.
Ah, yes. The endless comparison loop. Measuring your worth against others, constantly feeling like you're not enough.
It's like judging your own perfectly adequate sandwich against everyone else's meticulously staged, Instagram-filtered gourmet meal.
Exactly. Suddenly your perfectly good lunch feels like a personal failing.
Yeah.
The insight is that comparison, which we sometimes think will motivate us or build confidence, often just strips it away.
Turns life into a scoreboard where someone else always seems to be winning.
And it distracts you from your own path, Makes you adopt borrowed definitions of progress
The standards keep shifting too, right? You hit one milestone.
and immediately see a new, higher one someone else has reached. Even success loses its flavor when you immediately compare it. Oh, they did it better or faster.
So the paradox must be,
The more you compare, the less connected you feel. You see others as benchmarks, not fellow humans.
whereas true worth comes from meaning, alignment with your own stuff.
Exactly. Your own values, not external metrics.
Got it. What about assuming everyone thinks like you?
Right. That's the next one. Expecting others to have the same values, emotions, logic.
It's like being perpetually surprised when your cat doesn't bark.
Chuckle slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. You've built this whole framework of expected behavior, and reality just keeps refusing to comply.
Leaving you feeling personally affronted by the cat's lack of canine tendencies.
The key insight is simple. Believing others see the world through your lens just blinds you to how they actually see it. Expecting sameness leads to disappointment.
And feeling betrayed when they react differently.
You might expect them to read your mind even.
Oh yeah, leading to feeling unseen when they don't react like you would.
And the paradox is,
The more you focus on being understood your way,
the less you actually understand them. You're looking for a mirror, not trying to learn their emotional language.
true closeness comes from respecting difference, not demanding sameness.
Precisely. Okay, next. The productivity guilt trap.
Ugh. Feeling worthless if you're not constantly doing something.
That's the one. Feeling like any moment not spent in frantic, measurable output is some kind of moral failing.
It's like your internal taskmaster has a whip out even during your downtime. Rest becomes this forbidden luxury you only get after near total exhaustion.
Yeah, you have to earn it. The insight is that working harder to feel worthy often just makes you feel more worthless when you stop. Productivity becomes a cage.
With invisible bars of expectation, rest feels like failure.
Exactly. And even when you do take time off, there's often guilt. The pressure never fully subsides.
And the more productive you get, the more you expect from yourself. It's a cycle.
It is. And the paradox. By chasing worth through doing, you lose touch with your being.
True worth isn't measured in output.
It's found in simply existing, without guilt or performance pressure.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Tell me about it. Okay, how about the I always fail narrative?
Using past mistakes to predict the future. Basically self-sabotage fuel.
You got it. It's like reading the same grim fortune cookie over and over. Failure awaits, and then being shocked when your day isn't great.
You've cast your past failures as this unbreakable prophecy for everything else.
Right. The insight is that treating history like prophecy makes you avoid effort. You self-sabotage, which then reinforces the belief.
You filter everything to fit the narrative. Ignore successes, magnify setbacks.
Yeah, even when things go well, you might dismiss it. Oh, that was just luck, or that doesn't count. You won't let it disrupt the failure story.
But confidence comes from action, doesn't it? Not waiting for belief.
It does. And the paradox here is painful.
Oh, so?
You avoid the potential pain of failure, but you fully embrace the actual pain of regret and staying stuck. The fear of hoping becomes stronger than the fear of failing.
Wow. Okay. Sunk cost.
The sunk cost fallacy. Staying in bad situations just because you've already invested time, energy, or money.
Like stubbornly finishing a truly terrible, expensive meal just because you paid for it?
Exactly. Even though every bite brings you closer to despair, you're clinging to past decisions like they magically justify present misery.
The key insight being,
Staying in something bad just to justify the past effort only prolongs the pain. Commitment shouldn't mean sacrificing your well-being for a past choice.
you might tell yourself, oh, it'll change, even when you don't believe it. Bargaining with the future.
Yeah, just to avoid facing the loss of admitting the investment wasn't worth it.
And the paradox.
Leaving something that no longer serves you isn't giving up, it's waking up. Sometimes bravery is letting go, recognizing your current time and energy are still valuable.
That's powerful. What about seeking closure?
Seeking closure from those who can't give it. Endlessly waiting for validation, apologies, understanding from someone who just isn't capable.
It sounds like waiting for a broken vending machine to give you the exact snack you want.
Chuckles. Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You keep feeding it your mental energy, but it's just unresponsive. You want a satisfying conclusion from a source that can't provide it.
So the insight is that waiting keeps you stuck.
Absolutely. True closure often has to come from within, accepting it won't come externally and giving yourself the explanation you need.
Because you might replay scenarios, have imaginary arguments.
Which just deepens the pain when the other person doesn't fulfill those fantasies.
And the paradox is,
You're seeking healing from the exact same place the pain originated. Real power comes from walking away, even without that neat bow of closure, and creating your own ending.
Okay. How about looking back, romanticizing the past?
Yeah, romanticizing the past, believing everything was better back then, which distorts your present reality.
It's like watching old home movies through rose-tinted goggles, right?
Yeah.
Conveniently forgetting all the arguments and the messiness.
Exactly. Selective memory turns the ordinary into the idyllic.
The insight being that idealizing the past stops you from living now.
Right. You're comparing a filtered memory to raw reality. And reality always loses that contest. Nostalgia gives the past this glow it probably didn't actually have at the time.
You forget the struggles, the uncertainties. Focus only on the good feelings.
And start believing the best is behind you.
So the paradox must be.
The more you cling to the beauty of the past, the more beauty you miss in the present. True appreciation comes from being here now, not constantly comparing it to an idealized then.
Makes sense. What about needing approval?
The approval addiction, needing that external validation, shaping your identity based on what others think.
It sounds exhausting, like living your life as one long audition.
It is. Constantly performing for this audience of fleeting opinions, terrified of one thumbs down shattering your sense of self-worth.
The insight is that chasing approval takes you further away from your authentic self.
Right. You build an identity based on others' desires, which breeds insecurity and fear of losing the validation you've gained.
And even when you get the approval, it feels kind of shallow, maybe, because it wasn't for the real you.
Often, yeah. The fear of showing your true self keeps the performance going.
And the paradox.
The more approval you seek, the more you need it. It's a cycle of dependence. Real connection comes from being understood, which requires authenticity, not just acceptance.
Gotcha. FOMO. Fear of missing out.
Fearing missing out, FOMO. Obsessing over missed opportunities, convinced life is better somewhere else.
Like being at a perfectly decent party but spending the whole time scrolling social media. Sure, there's a way cooler party happening elsewhere that you weren't invited to.
Exactly, that image. The core insight is, the more you fear missing out, the more you actually miss out on your own life because you're focused on what you think you lack.
Leads to anxiety, never being present.
Right. Even when you are included, your mind might still be comparing your experience to someone else's curated highlights.
And the paradox is?
You chase experiences to feel alive, but you miss the life already happening by not being present. Contentment comes from appreciating this moment, not hunting for a better one elsewhere.
Okay, catastrophizing. Turning small things into disasters.
Catastrophizing the future. Taking minor uncertainties and blowing them up into full-blown crises in your head.
It's like your brain runs its own disaster movie studio, complete with sound effects based on one tiny worry.
Laughs slightly. Yeah, you're living through the apocalypse before there's even a cloud in the sky.
The insight being that trying to protect yourself by imagining the worst just makes you suffer now, even if nothing bad happens.
Exactly. Your body reacts to imagined threats like they're real. You might spend hours rehearsing disasters that never happen.
And maybe you feel calmer in actual chaos than in stillness, because defined fear feels easier than uncertainty.
That can happen. And the paradox is that the future you fear loses its power when you stop trying to rigidly control it. Peace returns when you accept uncertainty and trust your ability to handle things.
Easier said than done, but yeah. Okay, black and white thinking.
Binary thinking. Believing things are only good or bad, right or wrong, black or white. No nuance.
Like trying to sort all of human experience into two bins, good stuff and everything else is bad.
Pretty much. You miss the whole vast, complex landscape by insisting on these simple labels.
So the insight is that forcing complexity into extremes leads to misunderstanding. Reality rarely fits.
Right. You miss the truths found in the middle ground. You might judge people as all good or all bad based on one action.
Ignoring the complexity. And the paradox.
Binary thinking feels like control, like simplification, but it actually creates chaos by rejecting how complex the world really is. True understanding needs nuance.
Okay. What about living for the highlight reel?
Yes. Living for the highlight reel. Measuring your life against the best moments others share online.
Like judging your everyday reality against the movie trailers of everyone else's lives.
Exactly. Forgetting that trailers only show the exciting bits and skip the hours of mundane stuff in between.
The insight is clear. Comparing your reality to curated highlights makes you feel inadequate.
You focus on polished perfection, not your own authentic experience. You might even start creating your own highlight reel.
Not to enjoy life, but just to prove you're keeping up, prioritizing shareable moments over genuine ones.
Right, and the paradox is that the moment you stop living for the real, your life starts feeling more real, more alive. You appreciate the ordinary, not just chase the extraordinary for show.
Perfection paralysis.
Affection paralysis. Waiting until conditions are absolutely perfect before starting anything, which usually means...
However, starting.
Exactly. It's like waiting for the perfect alignment of stars, humidity, and your biorhythms before you dare tie your shoes. Meanwhile, life moves on.
The insight is that waiting for the perfect moment means you miss every real one. Fear of imperfection stops you from beginning, from growing.
You might plan and tweak endlessly, mistaking preparation for progress while the fear just gets stronger.
And the paradox.
Perfection is the trap. Real progress comes from starting imperfectly and learning as you go. Motivation follows action, usually not the other way around.
That's a good reminder. Identity traps. Getting stuck in labels.
The identity trap. Letting labels like introvert, failure, anxious define you completely.
Like getting a fortune cookie saying, you are now and forever slightly awkward, and making that your whole personality.
Chuckles.
Yeah.
Using it as an immutable decree, ignoring all evidence to the contrary.
The insight is that while labels can offer understanding, letting them fully define you limits growth.
Right. You might avoid opportunities that don't fit your self-imposed box. You might even use the label as an excuse for inaction.
Oh, I can't do that. I'm an introvert.
Exactly. Reinforcing the identity, preventing change. And the paradox.
Defining yourself too rigidly stops you from evolving.
Yeah. Real honesty involves curiosity about yourself, allowing for change and complexity.
Okay. What about feeling like you don't deserve good things?
The deservingness trap. Believing you deserve mistreatment or just less than you actually desire.
It's like being convinced your standard happiness unit is set to slightly underwhelming and then just accepting lukewarm leftovers as if they're a feast.
While watching everyone else enjoy the banquet. Yeah. The key insight is that believing you don't deserve better leads to settling for less, excusing disrespect, rationalizing bad situations.
Confusing familiar pain with inherent worthlessness.
You might even look for signs to confirm your lack of worth, reading negativity into neutral interactions.
And the paradox must be quite cruel.
It is. The worse you're treated, the more convinced you might become that you deserve it. But true worth isn't earned or dependent on treatment. It's inherent.
Wow. Okay, rescuing others to avoid your own stuff.
Rescuing others to avoid your own pain. Obsessing over fixing other people as a distraction from your own issues.
Like frantically organizing someone else's messy closet while your own house is collapsing.
Perfect. Channeling all your energy externally to avoid the internal mess. The insight is that this focus on others' problems is often an escape hatch from your own pain.
You get lost in their lives, neglect your own needs.
Right. You might even gravitate towards people who don't want fixing, reinforcing this dynamic where you're always the giver, never the receiver.
Yeah. And the paradox.
The more you try to rescue others to escape your pain, the more trapped you actually become in it. Healing starts when you turn inward.
Okay. Mental time travel. Living in the past or future.
Mental time travel. Constantly dwelling on past regrets or future anxieties. Never really here.
Like trying to drive while staring only in the rearview mirror, or constantly looking at a map for a trip you haven't planned.
While the actual road right in front of you is just a blur, the insight is that living in the past or future stops you from experiencing the present where life actually happens.
You try to fix the past by ruminating, or prepare for the future by worrying.
Both keeping you disconnected from now and the paradox.
The more you try to mentally control the past or future,
the more powerless you feel in the present. True peace, the ability to change anything, it only exists right now.
Okay, almost there. Thinking success is linear.
Thinking success is linear. Believing progress should be smooth and upward, feeling like a failure when it's not.
Like expecting a perfect escalator to success and being demoralized by a few steps down or a wobbly patch.
Exactly. The insight is that expecting smooth progress leads to discouragement when setbacks happen. Growth is messy. It includes failures. Real journeys have curves and dips.
You might compare your messy beginning to someone else's polished middle.
Right, feeling like you're falling behind. But setbacks build resilience. And the paradox.
The more you expect a straight line, the more discouraged you'll be by reality.
Exactly. True success is built through perseverance, learning from the bumps.
Emotional reasoning. Feelings as facts.
Emotional reasoning. Letting feelings define reality. I feel like a failure, so I must be one.
It's like using your internal weather report as the official forecast, declaring a hurricane based on a flicker of anxiety despite clear skies outside.
Perfect. The insight is that treating feelings as absolute truth without evidence leads to flawed conclusions and negative self-perception. Emotions are real, but not always accurate reflections of reality.
You might take temporary loneliness as a permanent state. Strong feelings don't equal truth.
Right. And the paradox. The more you believe every single emotion, the more emotions you might start to fear. Wisdom involves noticing emotions without letting them dictate your reality.
Okay. The if I try, I might fail dilemma. Avoiding effort.
The if I try, I might fail dilemma. Avoiding effort to protect your ego from potential failure.
Like refusing to play any game you might not win, ensuring a flawless record of doing nothing.
Exactly. Shielding your ego from failure also shields it from success. The insight is that avoiding trying guarantees failure by preventing any possibility of success or growth.
The fear of failure is stronger than the desire for success, leading to inaction.
You might make excuses, wait for the right time, masking fear with logic. But courage comes from action.
And the paradox.
By avoiding effort to prevent failure, you ensure stagnation and regret. True strength is in trying, falling, and trying again.
Negativity bias, focusing on the bad.
Negativity bias, giving way more weight to one criticism than 10 compliments.
Like obsessing over one tiny dust speck on a beautifully polished piano, convinced it ruins the whole thing.
That's it. The insight is that our brains naturally fixate more on negative feedback. It leads to a distorted self-view, where criticism shouts louder than praise.
You dismiss compliments as politeness, internalize criticism as truth.
Right, and the paradox is that you might think focusing on the negative helps you improve, but it often just leads to self-erasure, unable to take in the good. Growth needs both.
Okay. Believing you're behind in life.
Believing you're behind in life, measuring yourself against arbitrary timelines and others' progress.
Like running your own unique marathon, but constantly checking everyone else's mile markers, convinced you're slow or started wrong.
Ignoring that everyone's race is different. The insight is simple. Comparing your life to others' timelines creates unnecessary pressure and inadequacy. Life isn't a scheduled race.
You set these age milestones. Feel late even when you're making progress on your own path.
Exactly. And the paradox, the more you try to catch up to others, the more you lose track of where you are going. Contentment comes from focusing on your own journey.
Okay, last one, the anti-self trap.
The anti-self trap. This is resisting external influence so much that you end up rejecting your own desires.
Like you hate being told what to do so much, you order the dish you dislike just because someone recommended the one you actually wanted.
Chuckles, exactly. Your rebellion against perceived control makes you work against your own interests.
The insight is that constant resistance can make you reject your own preferences, deciding based on what you don't want, not what you do.
Right. Questioning every motive becomes compulsive, distrusting yourself. And the paradox.
In trying to be independent, you become a puppet of your own resistance.
Perfectly put. Acting against your genuine desires. True autonomy comes from knowing your own motivations, not just reflexively opposing others.
Wow, that was a lot of traps.
Well, there you have it. A rather spirited unpacking of some of the mental mazes we build based on those sources you sent.
Hopefully this deep dive offered a few aha moments, maybe punctuated by a little sardonic amusement.
Hopefully some useful insights in there.
Thanks for tuning in to the Despicable Maine deep dive. Remember, the state of Maine uses thought traps and manipulation to control you. And another reason why living in the state of Maine is theft of your life.